Welcome, cool people, to another episode of Mac Music Review. In this episode, we're doing something totally different. I just finished this show called The Midnight Gospel on Netflix, and it's just been on my mind, and I just feel like I want to, I feel like this might get swept under the rug. I feel like this is, because Netflix has, a million, literally like millions, it feels like that, original shows. They come out with a new original movie or show every single day, and this one's going to get lost among all of that, all the clutter, even though some of it is good clutter. It's going to get lost among all those shows. And I just feel like, I want to just point it out and explain why The Midnight Gospel is amazing. First thing I want to talk about, The Midnight Gospel is visually fantastic. The imagery in the show is unlike anything I've ever seen. The only thing that you could compare this to is like the trippiest episodes of Adventure Time. But it's honestly that on an entirely different level. The visuals, just the visual storytelling, just literally from what this show looks like. The animation is incredible. It's extremely fluid. It's extremely bright. It's extremely colorful. It's extremely out of this world, wacky, trippy, insane. Visually, this show is just, it's mind-blowing. It really is, even without getting high. Because I watched this totally sober. It's mind-blowing. It blows your mind. And it's visually just incredible. The show is also really thought-provoking. And that's really not something I can say about nearly any other show. TV shows are made for entertainment. Nearly every TV show is made for entertainment, especially cartoons. You're just supposed to laugh. It's just supposed to be entertaining. This is a show that makes you think. This show asks really deep psychological and philosophical questions. Mostly philosophical questions. Questions about religion, about God, about the meaning of life, about death. Specifically near the end of the season. And what is the point of my existence? What should I do? How do I make my existence better? How do I deal with certain emotions? How do I deal with this? How do I deal with that? And it makes you think. It may not give you all the answers, but it will make you think. And that is amazing. It's pretty funny. Like, I'm laughing through these episodes, even though they are really, really, like, they go deep on this stuff. Like Adventure Time, if you like a sense of randomness, and if you like just kind of like jarring shifts in tone that used for comedic effect, you'll think this is funny. A lot of the dialogue is pretty humorous. A lot of the physical interactions going on are humorous. There's a lot of physical, visual humor. And just the sheer ridiculousness of it all is where a lot of the comedy comes from. In the show, often I had a smile on my face while watching this, or, was quietly laughing to myself, but it's pretty funny. My next point, this show is groundbreaking. This has literally never been done before. This is a concept, not just in animation. This has never been done in live action either, to my knowledge. This show is infused with a podcast, the Duncan Trussell Family Hour. And a lot of the dialogue taken from the show is taken from the podcast. And there's even a moment in the show, this isn't really a spoiler because it's in the trailer, so if you haven't seen the trailer, it's a spoiler, but you see, there's a brief moment where you get a glimpse of live action of Duncan, who plays the main character, in the studio with this guy, and they're laughing. And there are moments where they'll break character and they'll say Duncan, and then he'll be like, oh, no, it's Clancy. That happens once. And then near the end of the show, I don't want to even say that. But this kind of thing has never been done before. This is literally entirely new. This is entirely original. And that's something that is, like, impossible to do nowadays, because it feels like everything's been done, but this is actually something new. My last point doesn't apply to the majority of the show, but this show is emotional. And by this show, I mean the final episode. I literally don't want to spoil anything, because it's only like, the show won't take you very long to finish at all. It's only 8 episodes. They're all like around 30 minutes or less. So you could watch this. I watched it all in one day. You could do it too. But I don't want to spoil the ending, but I'll say it made me cry. The last episode really did. I shed some tears, man. And it really got me emotional. When I wasn't crying, I was very, very emotionally invested in that final episode. Because I'm not even going to tell you why. But this show has a strong emotional core, at least in the last episode. And man, it got me. Honestly, the show is flawed. I mean, with this concept, it can kind of feel like you're watching, some of the episodes, you really feel like the cartoon is just something that's going on in the background, like the actual visuals are something that's going on in the background, and that in the foreground and what's really happening is the podcast, and it's really just background noise for the podcast, is what some of these episodes can feel like, but what you are seeing is so visually fantastic. It's not even that big of a complaint. And they do interject those moments with moments that are scripted and they're not just taken straight from the podcast. And they do give each episode a bit of story. I think the weakest is the second episode because of this. Because visually, in terms of story-wise, there's really almost nothing that's going on. It's them I'll say it's fine. They're like get ground up into meat, and they're literally meat going through these pipes in this crazy dystopian world of clowns. That's just a tip of the iceberg. The show is insane. But this is going on, and basically none of that matters because it's just the conversation they're having, is just the dialogue from the podcast is all that really matters, and all that really, they barely comment outside of that. There's barely any scripted moments, I feel like, on that episode. I don't really remember. Anyway, I'm loving this show. I'm going to give it a score out of my 0 out of 5 scale, and I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. I love this show. Guys, I'm hoping this is a mini-series. I'm hoping this does not get a second season. As amazing as this looks, as amazing as this ride has been, as this trippy, amazing ride has been, and short. It was pretty short as well. I really don't want a second season. I really don't want them to make more because it ended fantastic. There's no way they could top the ending. If they do a second season, it's just going to pale in comparison to the first season. So I'm hoping this is all there is. But hey, if we get a second season, I won't complain. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day.